That brings us to item H, the presentation by Nevada Renewable Systems.
David, are you going to take the lead here? Or?
I am.
Okay. I'll just introduce David, Mark, and Tim to you. I appreciate them being here and
Thanks for the time.
doing this presentation. Now, I've asked them to take 15 minutes on the presentation and then take some time afterwards if you have questions that the board can throw some tough questions at.
I appreciate the time, and I'd say in advance to your teammates is a very short amount of time to pack a lot of information into, so hopefully you will have some questions. I'm certain I will not hit every topic that you go through here. So we've been having conversations with staff to date. We have proposed a solar power plant of up to 40 megawatts. The size is to be determined. That's something obviously OPD needs to give us guidance on what can actually be absorbed, but we think that's a size could be absorbed. Savings of up to $3 million annually. This comes from having a price that would be no higher than $58 a megawatt hour, and we talked about prices that are lower, but that's for more detailed discussions. That's roughly 10% cheaper than where you're buying power from Arizona Power on a loss-adjusted basis, because it's being delivered basically directly to Mesquite, as opposed to coming in all the way at Tortoise and then having to go 30 miles across the district. The electricity price for that contract would not increase at all during the life of the contract, life of the plant. And OPD could save more if it chose to buy it starting in year 6. There are some reasons why, for tax credits which we'll come to, why you can't purchase it in the first 5 years. But we're ready to go as far as site zoning and the construction. It's a site that's appropriate for solar. It's flat, it's level. Everything it's obviously everything around here is sunny. But we need to move forward. We'd like to move forward as soon as possible to collectively get the best pricing possible. And so we'll get a little bit about who we are. Tim Carosa, who's sitting behind me, and Mark Tiefman are the CEO and Chief Operating Officer of Nevada Renewable Systems. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. NRS was formed in 2012, but the efforts to produce this go back to 2008, 2009, when it was originally zoned for Site Global to put a solar plant up on top of Flat Top Mesa. We really think of this as the rooftop for Overton Power. It's just to the north of Mesquite. It would be completely invisible to everyone, but it would be very close to the load in the district. And here's a quick picture. You can see it's about 2 miles from the main lines that go across the mesa, and you can see Mesquite down in the lower right part of that screen. So really, it's close to being Mesquite's rooftop, but that's very about it. So why solar for Overton Power? 5 basic reasons, and this ignores all the intangibles like being green and whether people want to move their business here or move here for whatever reason. This is the real operating the utility. Cheaper power. This is daytime power, which is cheaper than on a straightforward basis, cheaper than Arizona Power. And daytime power is generally 40 to 50% more expensive than overnight, so there should be additional savings from overnight power contracts, splitting it effectively in 2. Direct access. You're no longer running through anywhere through NVE's territory or anyone else's territory for that matter. We meet you right at your lines. Diversification. Overton Power is largely solely natural gas buying entity at the moment, and as it grows and as potentially if lake levels continue to fall over a long period, you will find that you're going to be more and more natural gas. So it's becoming more and more concentrated. Solar gives you a different fuel, gives you diversification, reduced internal losses because you're not running that 30 miles from Tortoise to Mesquite. We're very close to Mesquite. And then, of course, the external costs. When you buy power from Arizona Power, or even from Parker Davis or Glen Canyon, you're running 100, 200, 300 miles, and not only are you paying for the losses that are embedded in that, but you're paying for the lines themselves. You're effectively paying for those lines, whether it's directly priced in or not. You have to, somehow it has to get here. And not to mention other costs of capital. So, we feel like this is control at lower price, lower risk, more control. So why now? Right? Why not wait? Well, the cost has fallen 75% in the last 5 to 6 years, which is great. Prices probably will continue to fall, but the savings that we think that you're going to achieve by doing this would mean that, say, we look out 10 years, price would have to fall by another 2/3 just to sort of break even because of the tax credit that's available now, in addition to the annual savings that you would have. Right? That near-term savings as opposed to waiting for the price to get lower and lower, at the risk that there's a tax credit which is scheduled to go away at the end of 2000, for projects put in place after the end of 2016. If you don't have that, it's effectively 40% more expensive. A 30% discount is 100 over 70, so it's effectively 40% more expensive. That's a lot to make up if you don't have that. And so one of the reasons we're talking to you so far in advance of 2016 is that as a rural utility, you have access to preferred funding. It would be through the project, but we would need time up to 18 months to achieve that, and that would need to be done before construction starts. So we need to have some sort of indication that you would want to move forward and want to buy the power. But this 30% tax credit has been in place from 2006. At that point, there was almost no solar power in the United States. This year, there's going to be almost 5 gigawatts installed. We think in 2016, from industry reports, it could be 10 or more gigawatts. So 40 megawatts is relatively small. It's a small drop in the bucket on what's going to be built on here. What are the requirements? So what we're looking for is a PPA or some other agreement that would say that Overton Power is willing to buy the power from the project. The project would clearly specify all the technical characteristics that we need to deliver, and there is reactive power that can be had from inverters. There are all kinds of things that can be made to ensure that you're getting exactly the power that you want at the spot that you want it on your system. There would also be milestones that we need to meet, as well as our contractors, and meet by given dates. And it would protect both sides from proceeding to construction when it's not in the interest, within the parameters of the project, not just simply, we don't feel like it this year. But, the project will be legally distinct from OPD. It's not a project that OPD is taking on its own balance sheet. This is a project that we would be building and selling power to Overton Power. But to make the timeline work, we'd like to see Overton Power move forward this year. Now, one thing I want to say here that's not actually on the slides, I know we're being followed by the solar garden proposal. One thing about a solar garden is the solar garden really teases out the people who are willing to pay a premium for solar. We're looking at selling solar at a discount because we have scale, there are other design type features, including the tax credit and the financing, that's going to make it cheaper than the current power. If you did a solar garden, effectively, selling people, instead of buying at a premium, you could buy it at a discount. I think you're going to have a lot more interest in doing that, and that's a feature that's another way of saving it. Not only if you did it as a prepay, which is something we can talk about in more detail, there's probably a 5 to 10% additional cost savings just from wiping out some of the financing costs that go around even dealing with the rural utility funding. So there's a better way to do this, but the difference between that is that Overton Power is more directly in the middle because it's going to stand between the prepay of its customers and the project itself. But that's something we can discuss, and the risk mitigations that go along with it. I think there's definitely ones that would definitely work. So
just a quick question on the PPA. With our existing, it varies with the season, I think, right? We have lower in the wintertime and higher in the summertime. In this PPA, could we have that kind of arrangement?
Well, we'll get that naturally. Mother Nature moves the sun around in such a way that we do deliver less in the winter and more in the summer.
But in our contract,
the contract would specify an overall amount. We might specify by month, but we can't guarantee on a given day that we're going to produce. We're going to tell you a cap. We're not going to give you more than a certain amount.
our existing is by month also. Yeah.
But we can't guarantee you that on a given day there won't be a little bit of haze, or there won't be a cloud, or it won't be a rainy day. But what we will tell you is that there's going to be a amount that will be produced in a given period, and we expect to have certain percentages. It's going to be financed on that basis as well. No one expects that you're going to have exactly the same amount every year, but the variation in solar radiation around here is about 2% a year, top to bottom. It's not a lot.
From winter to summer, though.
No, over the entire years. If you look back over the last decade, it's not. Well, from winter to summer, the winter is probably about half to two-thirds of what the summer is. There's a slide in the back. We'll come to that.